Centuries from now, when the scrolls of fate are dusted off, the tale of the abyssal cemetery will be whispered with awe. Here, in the crushing depths of the ocean where sunlight dares not linger, Ling Han and his companions have unearthed the remnants of legends. Marine carcasses that once defied mortality itself. Indigo and blue yang soul stones litter the seabed like forgotten stars, yet one prize stands above all: a golden swordfish, sealed by ancient daos, its power echoing as if eternity itself trembles at its presence. Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Dao, Chapter 2002, Ling Han prepares to harness these treasures, the Black Tower humming at his side as every heartbeat hints at the impossible breakthroughs yet to come. The question looms: what heights of the dividing soul tier await those bold enough to claim the secrets buried for eons? Imagine plunging into the abyss of the ocean, where sunlight has long since vanished, and every pressure-cursed depth threatens to crush all but the strongest of cultivators. Here lies a graveyard not just of creatures, but of centuries, of millennia. An underwater realm where only the audacious dare tread. Ling Han, a figure whose ambition and mastery of the Dao allow him to defy what others cannot, has arrived at such a place. What he discovers here will challenge the limits of endurance, skill, and foresight. Ling Han and his companions fan out, digging through the oceanic soil, uncovering carcasses of marine creatures, many bearing the coveted indigo-grade yang soul stones. These stones, capable of propelling a cultivator toward the dividing soul tier, are normally rare and precious. Yet in this oceanic necropolis, they lie scattered like autumn leaves. Ling Han and his group show neither reverence nor greed. They methodically collect, knowing that only patience and time will convert hundreds of these into the ultimate purple-grade Yang Soul Stone. This isn't just a treasure hunt. It's a masterclass in cultivation strategy. Ling Han recognizes the uniqueness of this place. Only beings of immense origin power and refined regulation could ever survive here. The crushing water pressure alone would obliterate most cultivators before they even reach these hidden depths. That Ling Han navigates it so effortlessly speaks volumes about his physiology, his defensive resilience, and his Dao-aligned intuition. This is where talent meets opportunity. Then comes the moment that elevates the stakes. A massive golden swordfish, preserved impeccably despite eons of death. Its body hums with ancient seals of great Dao, a silent but terrifying testimony to its power. The 4 women accompanying Ling Han immediately recognize its value. While Heaven Soul creatures produce indigo-grade stones, an Immortal Palace tier creature guarantees a purple-grade one. This is not just a material gain. It is a pivotal threshold for cultivation, a leap toward the dividing soul tier that Ling Han and his companions have been preparing for centuries. The encounter with the swordfish illustrates another truth of Xianxia worlds. Even in death, the aura and defensive power of truly extraordinary beings do not fade easily. Ling Han's sword is repelled by its magical seals. Its eyeball, resilient beyond reason, warns him that sheer force is not enough. Here, the narrative teaches us about the balance between brute strength and Dao-guided strategy. Ling Han's approach, using divine sense, carefully wrapping the creature, and invoking the power of the Black Tower, is a methodical combination of patience, intelligence, and cultivation insight. Over 3 painstaking days, Ling Han dissects the fish, revealing the priceless purple-grade Yang Soul Stone. This labor underscores a key Xianxia principle. The greatest rewards demand not just courage, but meticulous effort and understanding of one's tools. The Black Tower, with all its might, cannot circumvent the intricacies of the Immortal Palace tier creature. Even the most powerful auxiliary artifacts must be applied with wisdom. Meanwhile, his companions also strike fortune. Who knew, often underestimated, casually secures another Immortal Palace tier corpse, proving that in a realm defined by cultivation, luck is inseparable from instinct and perception. By the end, all 4 severing mundane tier cultivators hold their purple-grade Yang Soul Stones, each poised to break through to the dividing soul tier. The narrative emphasizes that achieving these thresholds is less about immediate action and more about cumulative preparation, knowledge of the Dao, and precise utilization of resources like Yang Soul Stones and source powers. This chapter also introduces a subtle but crucial cultivation insight. When forming divided souls, one must not rely solely on personal spirit. Small Tower advises splitting one of the source powers instead, allowing the divided soul to grow independently and avoid irreparable damage to the original self. This is a profound lesson in Xianxia alchemy of the soul. True advancement comes not just from strength, but from refinement, balance, and respect for the inherent laws of life and energy. In essence, this sequence of events is a masterclass in strategy, patience, and Dao-aligned thinking. Ling Han's journey in the ocean's depths illustrates the interplay of courage, intelligence, cultivation insight, and the delicate handling of powerful artifacts. It's not merely about acquiring treasures. It's about understanding how to transcend ordinary thresholds and prepare for the life-altering breakthrough of the dividing soul tier. So the question lingers for us, the observers of this grand tale. If Ling Han can navigate pressures that would crush most cultivators, discern the subtle value of ancient marine corpses, and manipulate source powers with surgical precision, what heights will he reach next? The abyss has given him power, but the true test of mastery is yet to come. Have you ever wondered what it truly means to fracture your own soul? Not in anger or desperation, but in the calculated pursuit of ultimate power? Imagine standing on the edge of mortal limits, knowing that every step forward demands a piece of yourself, a fragment of your very essence. This is where Ling Han finds himself, on the precipice of a transformation few in the mortal or celestial realms could even comprehend. Ling Han had just unlocked a revelation hidden within the mysterious Small Tower, a sentient guide whose timing was as cruel as it was precise. The secret of the source powers, those rare and sacred energies, was now laid bare. Unlike ordinary cultivation techniques that strengthen the body or soul in predictable ways, source powers allowed him to split his soul itself, creating independent fragments, capable of cultivating and exerting influence alongside him. And with each fragment, the potential to surpass mortal limits grew exponentially. But the catch? Each fragment had to harmonize with the laws of the universe, or risk failure. Here's where it gets fascinating. Ling Han had 3 source powers: the Nine Heavens Flame, Xuanyin Source Water, and the Fiery Flame Lightning Strike Wood. Each one wasn't just raw energy. It carried its own sentience, a will that yearned for independence, a spark of rebellion against being tamed. The strategic choice of which power to split first was crucial, and Ling Han, ever calculating, chose the Nine Heavens Flame. It wasn't just a flame, it was his firstborn in this audacious experiment of self-division. The process that followed was nothing short of alchemical and metaphysical artistry. A month of intense nurturing transformed the flame from mere energy into a divided soul, a living extension of Ling Han himself. As this flame infant developed, so too did Ling Han undergo an invisible metamorphosis. Here's an insight many casual readers might miss. In Wuxia and Xianxia, the divided soul isn't merely a clone. It's an amplification of the cultivator's essence. Its growth directly feeds back into the original, accelerating advancement and breaking ceilings that were once thought insurmountable. And then came the seismic shift, the breakthrough to dividing soul tier. Picture it: black hair lifted by unseen winds, Dao seals blazing across his body, a black tower trembling in resonance with the transformation. Each cycle of 9 days brought violent shifts, the soul and body straining against the boundaries of reality itself. By the end of the month, Ling Han wasn't just stronger. He had rewritten the parameters of what a severing mundane tier could achieve. The Yang Soul Stone, once ordinary, now housed a flickering human-like flame, a testament to the integration of source power and the profound impact of soul division. But cultivation in the Xianxia world is never solitary. Ling Han's allies, the Empress, Hu Niu, and Bewitching Maiden Ro, underwent similar breakthroughs, and the canyon where they stood became a crucible. As tribulation clouds roiled above, heaven's own judgment descended, lightning shattered the sky, the air thick with chaotic energy. Yet Ling Han, already capable of suppressing yin souls and matching earth souls at the 5th severance, faced the tribulation not with fear, but with calculated audacity. His strength, now magnified by the divided soul, rendered the once deadly tribulation a forge rather than a threat. And the doppelgangers, what a beautiful touch of wuxia strategy. Each ally could manifest multiple versions of themselves, multiplying combat potential. Who knew? focused on her appetite even amid battle, reminded us that cultivation is as much about personal disposition as it is about power. The Empress's 9 doppelgangers, combined with the Yang Soul's own fragments, hinted at a tactical advantage that could overwhelm even the most formidable opponents. Here, the narrative does something brilliant. It blends humor, character quirk, and strategic depth seamlessly. This chapter isn't just about power. It's a study in decision-making under cosmic stakes. Ling Han's choice to divide the 9 heavens flame first reflects an understanding that cultivation isn't linear. It's an ecosystem. The divided souls act as both shield and spear, amplifying abilities, reshaping destiny, and challenging the rigid hierarchies of the celestial realm. And it raises an enticing question for viewers. If one can split a soul 9 times, could Ling Han's potential truly approach the legendary heavenly venerate? Or does each fragment carry the risk of dilution, rebellion, or unforeseen backlash? As the Yang Soul Stone cracked and the divided soul emerged, the story hints at the philosophy underpinning true power in Xianxia. Control is temporary, understanding is eternal. Ling Han isn't just growing stronger, he's learning to manipulate the rules of life itself, to play the cosmic game with foresight few mortals possess. And the journey is far from over. The next stages of cultivation, the search for more source powers, and the looming threat of tribulations will test not just strength, but wisdom, resolve, and the capacity to master one's own essence. So, as Ling Han laughs and prepares to harvest more Yang Soul Stones, we're reminded that in the world of the Divine Dao, power is a living, breathing thing. It demands sacrifice, insight, and courage. The true question now isn't whether he will grow stronger, it's how he will wield that strength and what kind of legend he will carve across the heavens. A single purple-grade Yang Soul Stone. That was the moment Ling Han realized the distance between ordinary geniuses and true monsters of the immortal path. Because even after gaining a heaven-defying treasure, powerful enough to shake an entire generation of cultivators, Hestel could not confidently say he had caught up to Jiwuming. And that fear, that uncertainty, it says everything about the terrifying shadow Jiwuming casts over this era. What makes this chapter so fascinating isn't just cultivation progress. It's the psychological shift happening inside Ling Han. Most cultivators would become arrogant after stepping into the dividing soul tier with an actual purple-grade Yang Soul Stone. They would believe themselves invincible. But Ling Han does the opposite. He immediately starts measuring himself against their incarnated Ninth Heaven Celestial King. That tells us 2 things. First, Ling Han's instincts are terrifyingly sharp. He understands that true monsters aren't judged by realms alone. Ancient inheritances, forbidden techniques, reincarnation memories, celestial arts, those things break the normal rules of power scaling. And second, Ling Han's Dao heart is evolving. Instead of drowning in self-satisfaction, he chooses battle. Not certainty, not safety, battle. That line about then, just battle, perfectly captures the spirit of Xianxia protagonists who walk the heaven-defying path. Ling Han no longer cares whether the gap exists. He only cares whether he can continue advancing through it. And honestly, that mentality is probably why he keeps surviving impossible situations. After months of searching the canyon, the group fails to find another purple-grade Yang Soul Stone. That's important because it reinforces how absurdly rare Ling Han's opportunity really was. Purple-grade stones aren't resources you farm casually. They're practically destiny-level treasures. Still, they gather a huge number of indigo-grade stones, and this is where the story quietly transitions from survival arc into influence arc. Ling Han is no longer just hunting for himself. Now he's entering the role of resource controller, and in cultivation worlds, the people who control resources often become even more dangerous than the people with raw combat strength. When Ling Han leaves the ocean floor, we get another subtle but important power progression moment. The terrifying pressure of the deep sea no longer threatens him after his breakthrough into the dividing soul tier. Earlier, this environment was practically a death zone. Now he moves through it naturally. That's classic Xianxia scaling done correctly. The environment itself becomes a measuring stick for cultivation advancement. Another detail worth paying attention to is the 9 Heavens Flame divided soul. Ling Han casually sends it away to handle business separately, and that's actually absurd when you think about it. Most cultivators struggle to protect themselves. Ling Han is already multitasking with independent soul entities. This shows how monstrous his foundation has become after entering Dividing Soul. But then the chapter suddenly shifts tone. Instead of another life and death battle, we get something almost comedic, yet incredibly revealing about the cultivation world. Shidu, a king-tier genius who once dominated his own territory, arrives in the Yang Soul Ocean and realizes a brutal truth. Outside your tiny corner of the world, you may be nothing. This is one of the most common themes in Xianxia, and honestly, one of the most realistic emotionally. Every higher realm expands the world so dramatically that former geniuses become ordinary overnight. Shidu lowered his arrogance because reality crushed it out of him. And yet, even his modest goal is ambitious, obtaining a blue-grade Yang Soul stone after centuries of accumulation and fusion. That gives viewers a very important sense of scale. For ordinary kings, even blue-grade stones are nearly impossible dreams. Meanwhile, Ling Han is walking around with indigo-grade stones like a traveling merchant. That contrast is insane. The bullfight fish battle also serves a clever narrative purpose. Shidu struggles desperately against a peak 4th Severance creature, carefully calculating risks because one mistake could kill him. Then Ling Han appears and instantly turns the entire fight into a joke. The fish suddenly freezes. Shidu panics. Then he realizes someone casually lifted the creature like trash. The chapter almost becomes satire at this point. Ling Han isn't acting like a legendary cultivator. He's acting like a street vendor. You want Yang Soul stones? That moment is hilarious because it completely destroys the sacred aura surrounding cultivation treasures. In most Xianxia stories, people massacre entire sects over treasures like these. Ling Han? He's opening a mobile marketplace at the bottom of the ocean. But beneath the humor is something much deeper. Absolute strength changes a person's relationship with resources. Shidu views indigo-grade Yang Soul stones as life-changing miracles. Ling Han views them as inventory. That difference in perspective reveals the terrifying gap between their levels. And notice Shidu's internal reaction. His first instinct is greed. He wants to rob Ling Han. That's pure cultivation world logic. Treasures invite slaughter. But the moment he thinks deeper, terror replaces greed. Because if someone can casually collect indigo-grade stones, what kind of monster must that person be? This is one of the smartest survival instincts a side character has shown in a while. Cultivation worlds are full of people who die because greed blinds them. Shidu survives because fear restores his intelligence. The negotiation scene also tells Suze a lot about Ling Han's personality. He isn't trying to extort people. He genuinely doesn't care much about the stones anymore because they can't be taken outside the Yang Soul Ocean anyway. So instead of hoarding useless wealth, he converts temporary treasures into permanent resources like starstones, godly metal, and cultivation materials. Strategically, that's brilliant. Emotionally, it also changes Ling Han's image in the eyes of other cultivators. Instead of appearing as an untouchable tyrant, he becomes this almost mythical figure. A supreme genius casually distributing treasures ordinary people could never dream of obtaining. And then comes the final escalation. Another group appears. Ling Han instantly kills the marine beasts they were struggling against, then once again asks the most absurd question imaginable. Do you want Yang Soul stones? The reaction is priceless because this time the group recognizes him immediately. Ling Han has already become a legend, not just because of strength, not just because he fought Yi to a draw, but because his actions completely defy normal cultivation logic. He's powerful enough to dominate the Yang Soul Ocean, yet he's wandering around like a cheerful, immortal shopkeeper. And honestly, that may be more terrifying than arrogance, because the truly invincible often stop treating heaven-defying treasures as precious at all. But the bigger question is this. What happens when news spreads across the Yang Soul Ocean that Ling Han possesses mountains of high-grade Yang Soul stones? In the cultivation world, wealth attracts envy. Envy attracts killers, and killers attract calamity. Ling Han may have unknowingly turned himself into the center of a storm far more dangerous than any marine beast lurking beneath the sea. Imagine walking into a vast ocean where every drop of water pulses with the energy of countless souls, a place where legends of alchemy and cultivation are forged, not through luck, but through cunning, patience, and the relentless pursuit of power. This is the world Ling Han now navigates, And what unfolds here is not just a clash of martial might, but a dramatic unveiling of character, strategy, and the true meaning of strength. Ling Han had spent over a century in the Yang Soul Ocean, a place where cultivators hunted for the rarest Yang Soul stones to advance their soul-severing techniques. Unlike others, he wasn't just collecting stones for his own rise. He had an eye for opportunity, turning even mundane encounters into a web of advantage. What seemed like humble transactions, selling indigo-grade Yang Soul stones to wealthy cultivators, was actually a masterclass in foresight. Every stone sold secured the allegiance of powerful individuals, while simultaneously keeping his own cultivation unobstructed. As he and his companions surfaced, the tension in the air was electric. This wasn't a casual gathering. This was the moment when the fruits of a century-long endeavor became visible. Most cultivators had waited until the last moment to attempt the final breakthrough to the dividing soul tier, prioritizing the accumulation of higher-grade Yang Soul stones. Ling Han, however, had already mastered this balance. His cultivation stabilized, his battle prowess frightening, his strategy flawless. Then came the challenge everyone anticipated, though none fully expected. Ma Tongguang and Lu Shanming appeared, having just broken through to the dividing soul tier. This was meant to be a moment of confrontation, a test of who truly held the upper hand. Yet Ling Han, with an unshakable calm, assessed them effortlessly. Ma Tongguang had assumed that possession of an indigo-grade Yang Soul stone elevated him above all others. But Ling Han, having refined the even rarer purple-grade stone, shattered that illusion in an instant. One strike, and the chains of heavenly regulations that Ma Tongguang unleashed were obliterated, turned to nothing but fragments of dissipating power. This is where the drama deepens. Strength in cultivation isn't just about breaking through tiers. It's about understanding power, predicting moves, and maintaining composure when others act in blind arrogance. Ma Tongguang's fury, Lu Shanming's shock, their realization of Ling Han's dominance, it's not just plot. It's an exploration of pride, underestimation, and the deceptive simplicity of appearances. Even those who had relied on Ling Han's generosity to ascend were left in awe, their gratitude illuminating how much influence one can wield without striking a single foe. And yet, the narrative tension continues. Ling Han's calm is not complacency. It is strategic intimidation. He recognizes the threat, gauges the stakes, and moves decisively like a dragon bursting from the ocean, an embodiment of controlled yet overwhelming force. Ma Tongguang, armed with a Celestial King-bestowed treasure scroll, attempts to assert dominance. But even this powerful artifact, designed to suppress elites, cannot match the precision and strength Ling Han has cultivated over decades. Here, the story teaches a critical Xianxia lesson. True power lies not merely in artifacts or temporary breakthroughs, but in mastery over one's soul, comprehension of Dao, and the ability to turn every variable into advantage. What's especially compelling is the human dimension. Ling Han is not some detached, invincible figure. His choices reveal insight, patience, and a subtle generosity. He sells stones not out of charity but calculated awareness, reshaping the battlefield of influence long before physical confrontation begins. Conversely, Ma Tongguang and Lu Shanming embody hubris and delayed reckoning. They are formidable, yes, but they measure strength in obvious metrics. Grade of stones, immediate breakthroughs. Missing the bigger picture. This contrast emphasizes a recurring theme in Xianxia storytelling: the difference between raw power and enlightened application of that power. As we watch this drama unfold, questions rise like storm clouds over the Yang Soul Ocean. Who will truly command respect and fear? How will Ling Han's mastery of soul refinement, market manipulation, and martial acuity shape the next phase of conflict? And more provocatively, will pride and impatience continue to be the undoing of those who underestimate subtlety and strategy? So as the ocean stirs and cultivators brace for the inevitable clash, we see not just a battle of tears and treasures, but the embodiment of wuxia philosophy. True mastery lies in harmonizing cunning, courage, and cultivation. Ling Han isn't just surviving the ocean. He's defining it, bending it to his vision, and setting the stage for legends yet to be written. Imagine a battlefield where reality itself seems to burn, the air crackling with a fierce, almost unbearable heat. Today, we witness a clash that isn't just about power, but about mastery, strategy, and the audacity to challenge fate itself. Ling Han faces Ma Tongguang, a monarch-tier cultivator whose arrogance matches his might. Ma Tongguang, confident in his celestial king seals, unleashes 7 colossal warriors from a mystical scroll, giants of radiant white light, each towering like a mountain, their very presence meant to snuff out Ling Han before he can even breathe. This isn't a simple duel. It's a trial of will, an examination of cultivation levels, and a game of life and death. Ling Han, ever composed, does something extraordinary. From within himself emerges the 9 heavens flame divided soul, a manifestation of his inner Dao and fiery spirit. It's more than a clone. It's a strategic extension of his consciousness, an instrument of both offense and defense. The duality of Ling Han and his divided soul allows him to confront 7 towering adversaries simultaneously, a spectacle of martial skill and cultivation at its peak. Here, we begin to see the genius of the dividing soul tier. The ability to project not just strength, but fully independent extensions of one's spirit, each capable of supreme combat prowess. Now consider Ma Tongguang's position. Even with his Celestial King tier technique, he can't dominate. The 7 light warriors, while powerful, are finite expressions of his will. Ling Han's mastery, tempered by endless potential and mental unity with his divided soul, tips the balance. What does this tell us about cultivation mechanics? The strength of a divided soul scales with the quality of the Yang Soul Stone used and the synchrony with the original, creating a multiplier effect that even top-tier treasures struggle to suppress. In simpler terms, Ling Han doesn't just match Ma Tongguang, he outclasses him, exploiting the temporary limits of even a Celestial King's magic. The battle is brutal, spectacular. Every clash shakes heaven and earth. But the real strategy unfolds in Ling Han's mind. Rather than being bogged down by the 7 light warriors, he lets his 9 heavens flame divided soul engage them, creating a path directly to Ma Tongguang. This is where intellect, not just raw power, decides the victor. The punch that follows isn't just physical, it's the culmination of foresight, cultivation mastery, and ruthless decisiveness. In one devastating strike, Ma Tongguang is undone. His monarch-tier arrogance, his reliance on artifacts, all shattered in an instant. The consequences are immediate. The Western Celestial Realm loses a key representative, and the scale of Ling Han's power becomes undeniable. But the story doesn't pause for triumph. Ling Han turns his attention to Lu Xianming, a lesser yet persistent provocateur. Here the narration offers commentary on justice, or rather, Ling Han's unyielding sense of retribution. No hesitation, no moral ambiguity. Provocation in this world is an invitation to obliteration. His actions demonstrate the philosophical undercurrent of wuxia. Strength demands respect, and the weak who overreach face annihilation. The lesson is clear. Power is not merely for defense, but for maintaining the order one deems just. Beyond the spectacle of battle, this chapter is a study in contrasts: temporary versus infinite power, artifact versus spirit, arrogance versus wisdom. Ma Tongguang's reliance on his Celestial King seals represents the limitations of conventional authority. Ling Han's divided soul illustrates a principle every Xianxia aspirant longs to understand. True cultivation transcends tools, status, and even the expected hierarchies of power. It's about integrating heart, soul, and Dao into every strike. As the dust settles, Ling Han walks forward, unshaken, flanked by allies, yet ever ready for the next trial. The narrative foreshadows greater challenges ahead. Even as he asserts dominance here, the broader world watches. What other monarchs, what other realms will test this newly ascended dividing soul tier? How far can one extend the principles of soul division and strategic brilliance before even heaven takes notice? In the end, this isn't just a tale of victory. It's a lesson in audacity, in seeing beyond the immediate display of strength and understanding that true power lies in the seamless union of mind, body, and spirit. Ling Han doesn't merely fight, he teaches the world what it means to cultivate without limit. And as he turns, spitting the name of his next challenger, Ji Wuming, we realize this is far from over. The fire of destiny has only just begun to blaze.